Hi, my name's Ian and welcome back to my channel. In this video we're going to explore Minsc and Boo's Journal of Villainy, a book available on print on demand and PDF from the DM's Guild. Dungeons & Dragons has a long history of invoking personalities, be they within names of spells such as Dromege's instant summons, within the pages of adventure modules such as Robilar's exploits within the Temple of Elemental Evil, or more directly within computer games and novels associated with the game. This tradition also encompasses the game statistics for such personalities eventually turning up in one form or another. These volumes of D&D personalities begins with the first edition book Rogue's Gallery, generally a volume of tables from which dungeon masters could roll or choose to nab non-player character stats, either for on-the-fly gaming or just to save time. But the latter chapter of this work included statistics for many personalities players of D&D had heard of before: Bigby, Mordenkainen, Rigby, Robilar, Saturn, Tenser, among others, perhaps not so familiar. Forward on to 1989, following the success of the Forgotten Realms campaign setting and the initial offerings in the Gold Box series of computer games, a volume dedicated to describing D&D personalities arrived in the form of FR7, Hall of Heroes. Here we find the likes of Azun IV, Alias, Dragonbait, Drizzt and his companions, Elminster, and the core characters from the Moonshine and Avatar novel series. This was later expanded into a two-volume work of similar nature, the Heroes Lawbook, and its companion, the Villains Lawbook. Once into the depths of 3rd edition, these were again repeated, this time as part of the Champions of Valour and Champions of Ruin volumes, which covered character options for good and evil respectively, as well as statting out various organisations and NPCs. With Minsc and Boo's Journal of Villainy, we find ourselves once again in the realms and its many personalities. The book largely focuses on the Baldur's Gate series of computer games, but also draws from Neverwinter Nights and other sources. It is essentially a sourcebook associated with the Forgotten Realms and ties back to the timeline of that world. Under this premise, we meet those that are familiar faces to us, about a century after we last met them in their computer game guises. It's novel to see how some of them have made it into this current era: Minsc and Boo via petrification, Saravok by resurrection, Arabeth and Irenicus through the path of the undead, and Jaheira due to her elven blood. These are but a few of the characters described in the book. 31 are given statistics and extensive backgrounds, of which 9 I recognise primarily from their Baldur's Gate and Neverwinter Nights games, but my memory may have failed me in tying up some of the others. 6 monstrous villains are presented, all of whom should be familiar to most D&D players: the Archdevils Baalzebul and Mephistopheles, the Demon Lord Pazuzu, the Slard Lord of Insanity Sisendum, the Forgotten Realms' own god of murder Baal, and the missing Prince of Elemental Evil from Princes of the Apocalypse, Cryonax, who now joins his fellows Imix, Oglamok, Yancibin and Olhydra in the realms of 5th edition stat blocks. Some useful monsters are given the 5e treatment too: the bird-like Akairai, the spider-like Bevelith, the 3 kinds of Demodand, dread doppelgangers, hamadryads, sirens, Faerim, skeleton warriors, sword spiders, the tree-dwelling Tasloi, and the shape-shifting wolf-wares, most of which come from older editions. The key feature of the book, however, is not the NPC and monster statistics. The first chapter adds to the rules for group patrons found in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, introducing 10 patrons that tie into the NPCs presented in the book. It also describes details for using Athkatla, Baldur's Gate, Suldanesselar, and Ustnatha as hometowns, with descriptions of those places and rules for dealing with the factions, folk and locations within them. A key feature of the computer games was to be able to buy and sell magic items. Stock and prices for such are provided for each of the 4 hometowns. The bulk of the book then expands upon the 10 group patrons, with the NPCs statted out as contacts therein and guidelines for using each within the course of a campaign. Quests, goals and further information is provided for both NPCs and within the patron sections that can really help a DM to create at least a bare bones framework that is on theme for the player characters, according to the group patron they possess. All in all, the book is well written and makes for an interesting read beyond its use in a game context. If you are using group patrons or are considering doing so, then it's a good book to pick up, and there are crossovers to some factions appearing in earlier 5e adventures that could be enhanced by using the group patron rules, for example, the Harpers. The hometown and group patron sections also serve as good templates for creating your own, whether using other cities within a published setting or fleshing out a homebrew milieu. The book is available as PDF or print on demand from DM's Guild. This means that the book isn't officially official per se, but it is as near as matters. And thank you for watching that short review. Please like and subscribe if you found it useful and enjoyed it. And comment below on your memories of non-player characters, or famous non-player characters from Dungeons & Dragons past. Until then, I'll see you in the next video.